take a listen to what was happening in Gabe Kapler's office at Oracle Park after their 6-1 loss today. And before you play it, guys, let me set this up. This is based on something that both happened today and earlier this week. The only moment that mattered for the Giants offensively today, they loaded the bases. I think it was either the 7th or the 8th inning.
Yeah, 7th.
They're down 6-0. Lamont Wade walks to make it 6-1. And then here comes the big next at bat. Obviously, you need someone to get a hold of something to make this a game. They pinch hit for Wade Meckler, the new kid who's left-handed, with Austin Slater. Questions had come up about a similar situation Monday night. Bases loaded. Giants down. Needed a big bop. Left-hander on the mound, and they let Wade Meckler hit. And Cap was asked at the time, why did you not use Ramos to pinch hit? Slater was not available. But why did you not use Ramos? And he answered it then. And then so today, he does pinch hit for Meckler with Slater, and the subject comes up, and take a listen to the back and forth.
Earlier this series, we talked about why you stuck with Wade Meckler with the bases loaded against the lefty. Bases loaded against the lefty tonight. You decided to pinch hit Slater for him. What changed, if anything, in that decision?
I'm absolutely happy to make the distinction, but I'm just curious if you know the distinction.
Is it just Slater versus Ramos?
Yeah, I mean, this is not a disrespect to Ramos in any way, but I think Ramos has like 4 career pinch hit at-bats. Slater's one of the best pinch hitters in baseball. So I don't mind, of course, explaining something, but I just sometimes wonder if the question is, hey, can you say it? Or if that distinction isn't clear. I'm just curious about that.
Slater hasn't been hitting awesome either. He has more of a track record, sure, but...
Would you agree that he's one of the 5 best right-handed pinch hitters over the course of the last 3 or 4 years?
Yeah.
Do you think there's that creates a distinction between him and a guy that has 4 career pinch hit at-bats?
Sure.
Okay, so I'm not criticizing you at all. I'm just wondering if what you're asking is for me to say that, or if, like, whether or not there's a distinction at all for you.
It was a similar situation, so I think people would be interested to learn and hear you explain it.
Yeah, and so, I mean, again, Slater's one of the best pinch hitters in baseball, particularly against left-handed pitching over the course of the last 3 seasons. And so in that situation, we trust that he's going to go up there and have a good at-bat. He did, and he grounded into a double play. But I had him go up there because he's really, really good at that. Just has had a stretch where he hasn't had a lot of success.
Okay. You go first. There was a moment where I got why that happened. That's a very weird back and forth, though. Like, the immediate reaction is that feels like it was unnecessary to turn that into 2 minutes. Sort of turned on the reporter. He finally said something that made it click to me as to why he did it. He felt like he was being baited to say that Austin Slater's better than Elliot Ramos.
Well, now, so what?
Correct.
He is.
Yeah, and this is on NBC Sports Bay Area. I'm not defending him. That was unnecessary. I felt you didn't need to.
Wholly unnecessary.
Yeah, you didn't
answer the question.
You didn't need to take it there. I would say that Gabe felt like he might be being baited, and it happened at a time where they are clearly frustrated. But it's not an excuse. He should have just answered the question the way he eventually did in the end.
Yeah,
that's what he should have done.
It's an overthink. I mean, it's a vintage Gabe Kapler overthink. Like, just answer the freaking question. Just be genuine. Like, I feel like Gabe, and this is, he constantly wants to act like he's genuine, but really be extremely prepared about everything. And it's like, you know what? It doesn't matter whether the reporter asking the question knows the answer. That actually doesn't matter.
That doesn't matter, but again...
He's asking you to say it because you need to say it because you're the freaking manager.
Correct.
You're the manager.
You heard the spot, though, where he's checking to see if he's being baited.
What do you mean being baited? Who cares if he's being baited?
Well,
baited into what? Baited into saying Austin Slater's a better pinch hitter than
Ramos?
Ramos?
Baited into saying something bad about one of his players.
he was being asked about an in-game decision.
I am in full agreement with you that he should have just.
The question is Slater a better option to pinch hit for Wade Meckler than Ramos?
Right, but I get that.
Saying yes is not some.
I want to make sure
that he says yes to that.
This is a devil's advocate conversation. I'm fully with you.
He's worried about hurting Ramos's confidence.
Well,
I mean, what are we doing?
Whatever. I'm fully with you. There was a very easy way. In fact, he has answered that question the same way over and over all the time. Similar questions. I see that as a moment where the Giants are cracking right now. That's obvious. The Giants are cracking. And so on a frustrated day as they get ready now to pack bags and go play the best team in baseball, Gabe cracked. And he shouldn't have.
But the fact that you crack on a question about Austin Slater, who, as he eventually answered, like, that's a no-brainer to hit Austin Slater in that. Like, he doesn't even, like, that's a no-brainer.
Absolutely.
But to have that be
you're right.
the answer that you crack on,
you're right.
shows that the whole thing is a house of cards, in my opinion.
Well,
in terms of his,
I don't want to say that.
I'm going to answer this, and I'm going to answer
there's no reason for it to have been taken there.
Like, you can't keep your composure on that question.
I don't think he lost his composure.
I think he did.
You do?
You can lose your composure without screaming and yelling.
Yeah. I mean,
he lost his composure.
I guess for him.
Yeah, and he doesn't have to yell at somebody to lose your composure.
I'm with you. There's an easy way to answer that one, but I could tell when the last time he asked it, I could tell what he was basically thinking, and I'm not having his back here, but what he was thinking was, look, if it's already obvious that Austin Slater is a really good pinch hitter and Elliot Ramos is brand new, if it's already obvious, then why are you asking me to say it? Because that is potentially putting me in a bad spot with my clubhouse. I'm with you, JD, but I could tell that that's what he was thinking. And he's wrong. He's wrong. He made a mountain out of a molehill is the easiest way to say it. He made a mountain out of a molehill.
The other thing is, it's just the simple matter of, sometimes questions that are asked by the media are very basic because you need to get the person to say it on the record. Like, it's one thing for me to say,
absolutely,
hey, I think he did this or that. Well, if you're writing a game story, you can't just assume that without having a quote. Like, if you have an opportunity to interview and actually ask the question. So, like, you need the manager or coach to say it.
You're 100% right. I will also say this is interviewing technique, and it's so hard. It sounds so easy. It's so hard.
Like, a lot of his job is just answering the obvious.
But the interviewing thing that's so hard for us to do is ask the question in as few words as possible.
True.
If instead of going, hey, so 2 days ago we talked about Wade Meckler, and he didn't get pinch hit for when Ramos was available, but today he did get pinch hit for when Slater's available. So, hey, Cap, what's up with that? Was kind of, I think, the way Gabe heard it. If you had just said, because 2 days ago, his answer was, we think Wade Meckler is going to be excellent against left-handers. If you said, hey, you told us 2 nights ago that he's going to be great against left-handers. Tonight you pulled him. Why? I bet he would have gotten the genuine answer he was looking for. But it's not on the reporter's fault at all. There's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that question.
Nothing wrong with that question.
Nothing wrong with that question.
And Gabe. Gabe took offense at something that was not offensive. That's the way I would say it.
You can say that I'm reading too much into it, but it does play to what I already have believed about Gabe Kapler, which is the fact that he is, like, a lot of this, I'm cool, calm, collected. I got the perfect answer for every situation ready because I've probably spent some time in the clubhouse thinking about it. And now I'm gonna lose my cool.
Do you know what's interesting?
I think a lot of his composure is actually fake composure.
So I love this. This is so interesting to me, and I mean that genuinely. And I use that word on purpose. By the way, first of all, you're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco, always live on the free Odyssey app. Twitch and YouTube as well. We're not just video component, but the chats, which we love, all powered by First NorCal Credit Union. Okay, you're asking Gabe to be genuine. what if I submit to you that is Gabe Kapler genuine? In other words, when we want someone to be genuine, what are we asking of them to be? More like us, more like what we think is normal, more like everybody usually is, super engaging. Like Bruce Bochy is unbelievably easy to be in a room with. He'll make some noises, Buster, and it is just a super nice, engaging, easy to talk to person.
He'll also explain his decisions.
Absolutely. Gabe is not that. Gabe to people does not feel accessible. Simply, by the way, it starts with just the way he looks. That is part of this. The way he looks is not normal. That's not what managers look like. And people get intimidated or in their feelings when they're looking at someone who's like all yoked out and structured and this, that. He's different. I'm not saying that that's good, bad, or otherwise. But my question to you would be, what does that mean? What is be genuine? Like, what if this is Gabe?
Just answer the damn question.
You may not like it.
Just answer the question without the well, do you know the answer and why are you at, like, don't do that. You don't need to do that. Just answer it. Just say, hey.
But what if that's genuine him?
I think that was him getting caught. I think that was him getting caught without an answer that he thought was acceptable.
Well, I think this was just a classic moment. I do this sometimes with my kids. Like, if you just do the wrong thing at the wrong time and I'm in a bad mood, and you fire on somebody when it was completely unnecessary, right? You get like that happens.
Sure,
that's my read on that. Gabe was wrong, like, but they caught him at a wrong moment.
He can get upset if he wants to get upset. It's just a weird thing to get upset about. When, again, typically, I mean, we were talking in the last segment, he explains those things.
Yep.
But it's like, why are you worried about that now? And what it tells me is that maybe things are not as harmonious in there as we think they are.
Well, they haven't gotten a hit in about 2 months.
Well, but I'm just saying roles and things like that.
Oh, I hear you. I don't think anything you're saying is wrong.
That's all I'm saying.
I don't think anything you're saying is wrong.
But if you're really ttrying to protect everything, just be calm and cool about it, and don't not everything has to be this extra philosophical conversation.
I mean, and we'll play, if you're just joining us, we'll play it for you here in just a sec. But we were just looking during the last break at a graphic that came up. And what was it? Was it since June 1st or July 1st?
July 1st, yeah.
Since July 1st, the Giants are dead last in the Major League with batting average with runners in scoring position. They're hitting 190. They are right behind, wait for it, the Oakland Athletics. Those are the only two teams with a sub-200 average with runners in scoring position since July 1st. Okay? Mm-hmm. If you really follow Giants baseball, you'll get this joke. Do you know what I do now when the bases are loaded for the Giants? I do what Wade Meckler's mom does. Mm-hmm. I leave because I know that the next hitter is not going to get a hit. In fact, we're lucky if he doesn't ground into a double play, which is exactly what Austin Slater did. I think it's the bugaboo for the Giants right now. They put ducks on the pond and they leave them there. And so the question about this moment, I think Gabe is furious. And I think people like that who do make it look like everything is just, I am under control at all times. My beard is perfect and there is a burger waiting for me at home. I think people like that, it's tough when you've got to answer questions about the thing that is absolutely actually rubbing you raw. And this is it. This is it. The Giants need a freaking hit with the bases loaded. And it feels like they haven't had one since May.
That's all fair. It's just condescending to, before you answer a question,
totally
ask the reporter if the reporter knows the answer to the question that he or she is asking.
No, you're right. Again,
that's BS. The reporter does not have to know the answer. Like, he can have a theory, he can know the two things that it could be.
Yep.
But the whole point of asking the question is because it's not up to the reporter to say what it is. It's up to the freaking manager. That's the reporter's job, is to get that info and relay it to everyone.
I bet. Listen, you are not wrong. I bet Gabe thinks that he did handle that under total control. I guarantee you he thinks, no, I was just asking him a question.
Sure.
So that I knew the basis of his question. I guarantee you that's how he feels. Here, listen to it again.
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah. Here again, this happened just within the last half hour over at Oracle Park. Giants lose 6-1, bases loaded in the 7th with only one out. They pull Wade Meckler for Austin Slater. He grounds into a double play.
Earlier this series, we talked about why you stuck with Wade Meckler and with the bases loaded against the lefty. Bases loaded against the lefty tonight, you decided to pinch hit Slater for him. What changed, if anything, in that decision?
I'm absolutely happy to make the distinction, but I'm just curious if you know the distinction.
Is it just Slater versus Ramos?
Yeah, I mean, this is not a disrespect to Ramos in any way, but I think Ramos has like 4 career pinch hit at bats. Slater's one of the best pinch hitters in baseball. So I don't mind, of course, explaining something, but I just sometimes wonder if the question is, hey, can you say it? Or if that distinction isn't clear. I'm just curious about that.
Slater hasn't been hitting awesome either. He has a more track record, sure, but...
Would you agree that he's one of the 5 best right-handed pinch hitters over the course of the last 3 or 4 years?
Yeah.
Do you think there's that creates a distinction between him and a guy that has 4 career pinch hit at bats?
Sure.
Okay, so I'm not criticizing you at all. I'm just wondering if what you're asking is for me to say that, or if whether or not there's a distinction at all for you.
It was a similar situation, so I think people would be interested to learn and hear you explain it.
Yeah, and so, I mean, again, Slater's one of the best pinch hitters in baseball, particularly against left-handed pitching over the course of the last 3 seasons. And so in that situation, we trust that he's going to go up there and have a good at-bat. He did, and he grounded into a double play. But I had him go up there because he's really, really good at that. Just has had a stretch where he hasn't had a lot of success.
But that's all he had to say.
Yeah, the last 20 seconds.
He didn't even have to mention Ramos.
No, the last 20 seconds, he clicks into exactly what he normally would have said.
Because the reporter didn't ask about Ramos specifically initially. He didn't have to bring Ramos up.
No, he asked about Wade Meckler.
He just could have said, Slater's one of the best right-handed pitch hitters in the league, so I went with Slater.
No, look,
that's all he had to say.
This is on. No, this is on.
And that's all the reporter wanted him to say.
This is on Cap.
That's all he wanted him to say.
Look, again, and it's actually a good job.
And nobody was even hinting that he made the wrong move. Like, that's the other part of this that's just baffling to me.
It was a pretty fair, like
to me,
from a genuine place question.
You get ticked off if you're like thinking somebody's accusing me of making the wrong move.
If he had asked it,
that would make more sense.
If he had said, I can give you a way where you asked that same question and Kapler had a right to be mad. Like if you walked in there and said, hey, 2 nights ago, you told us that Wade Meckler hits left-handers well when Ramos was available. Today, you pulled Meckler in that situation for Austin Slater. What are you saying about Elliot Ramos?
Well,
and now, if you said that, and I'm Gabe Kapler, get the hell out of my office. Get out of my office.
If nobody would have, he's the one that brought Ramos into it. Like if he was worried about,
it's on him.
If he was worried about Ramos, he didn't even have. Nobody would have even remembered that Ramos was the option Monday.
Yeah, he cracked.
I didn't initially.
He cracked. The Giants are leaking. They're leaking, and he cracked. He's ticked off. That was crappy homestand. What was the
homestand? It was 6, 2 and 4. Is that all it was?
Wait a minute. Angels, A's.
Yeah, 6. They went 2 and 4 against 2 big teams that are better than them.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah. Right.
That's like price of admission. Like to me, and I get it. You always want your team to win. But to me, that's like, well, that's about right.
Well, and they lost it. Like, it's not just that.
About right.
It's not. I don't think it's that they went 2 and 4.
There weren't any games that they lost they should have won.
Well, they would argue Friday night against the Rangers, the first one. They would argue the 2-1 loss. But
but then if you win that one and Sunday, then you could say maybe
Sunday was their game. Most
cheating
of the
game.
Yeah, I guess. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. I don't think it's that they were 2 and 4. I think it's that they lost a handful of these games in a way that feels like they were overwhelmed. A lot of 9-2, 7-1 type baseball games, and for similar reasons. Like, they do not hit with people on base. And I think that they're probably pretty. This is going to be a long flight. It's going to be a long flight to go play the best team in baseball.
It's indicative of, and I alluded to this a little bit, it's indicative of maybe there's a little more concern over how the clubhouse is viewing everything right now.
Maybe. I just think there's general concern. I've laughed all year long when people are like, well, this year's not that big of a deal. Just a fella.
Oh, no, it's a huge deal.
Oh, my gosh.
No,
Kapler and Farhan are moving into option years on their contracts with no extensions.
If they don't make the playoffs, to me, it's fair to put them on the hot seat.
And
you may disagree.
Right. And Ohtani is about to be a free agent, and they're coming off of the free agency period they had last year. Yes, there is pressure coming out of the wazoo. Out the wazoo.
And there's no doubt Farhan wants to get into the postseason, and then he can say,
yes,
this and this didn't work, but we overcame, and the Correa thing I got right, and just 2 out of the last 3 years we made the playoffs. What do y'all think? Like, y'all wanted all these high-priced guys. It didn't matter because I'm that good.
He's not going to
well, but that's what he's going to. But
I would love a presser.
But he's not. No, he's not.
Y'all think that you don't know. I mean, that would be hysterical.
He's not going to say that literally, but he's thinking it, and I like he again. I like.
I know you do.
I like Farhan more than Gabe, and I think Farhan's exponentially more genuine. I do believe that, but I do think there's all the stupid people think think we don't know what we're doing,
okay,
or that this isn't real baseball.
Would I be a jerk for saying this? Everybody in every business thinks that about the people who aren't in that business. Take me to dinner and tell me about sports radio. What do you think I'm going to think about what you're saying?
I'd love to.
Sorry. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know what you're talking about. Kyle Shanahan does not think we know what we're talking about. Gabe Kapler and Farhan Zaidi do not think that we know what we're talking about. Steve Kerr does not think that we know what we're talking about. They don't think that. And whatever you all do for a living, you don't think that people from the outside world know. Like, an electrician does not want to come over and have me tell him how to fix the outlet. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm not bothered by that. No, I'm not bothered by that.
I get that. I just think that there'd be a nice revisionist history job on this year if they make the playoffs versus if they don't. Because now if they don't, it's going to be almost a collapse.
It's go time. Yeah.
Which breeds a whole different
And I think that you just
conversation.
I think you just heard some of the stress.
Yeah.
Yeah.